My guest today is one of India's top golfers. He is an Arjuna Awardee. He's played all the majors, and at the moment, he is trying to get into the trials for the Indian Premier League or the IPL. Shubhankar Sharma, thank you for joining us. How are the sessions going with the cricket bat swing instead of the golf swing? That's the video I saw. The last video I saw of you.
Yeah, we are all just on a pastime, I guess, and I hadn't played cricket in a while, so when the lockdown was announced, I was like, let's try my hand at cricket, and I just started playing, and I play every day. Actually, I play every day at 5 for about an hour, and it's a lot of fun.
I would have thought you had a driving simulator somewhere in the house, or perhaps converted the backyard garden into a putting green. Is that also there?
I'm doing that as well. Yes, I spend about an hour or two chipping every day in my garden. That's one of the places where I really need to work upon, and I'm just using this time to do that. It doesn't require a lot of space. It's a For me, it's based on muscle memory, and I just make a lot of air swings and just try to figure out how the club is working, and it works out well. So I do that for about 2 hours and play cricket for an hour, and then work out for about an hour or so. So the day passes well.
But if you're chipping, then the garden isn't going to be a pretty good sight when this lockdown ends.
Yeah, it won't be, but I don't think my parents would mind. There's nothing to do. They'd rather have me go out and spend some time in the garden than probably have me inside the house, because I don't think even they are used to having me in the house for that long. I travel
Hmm.
so much, and this is probably the longest that I've been home in a long, long time. So, it's a welcome break for me. But again, my parents and my sister, they are not used to seeing me around so much, I guess.
But that's the defining theme across sports. All the sports persons I've spoken to in the last 2 weeks are all saying that this is probably the most we've ever spent at home. But for someone like you, someone like a professional golfer who's always on the go, how frustrating is it to be indoors? Because your day starts off at the golf course, all that walking and all. When all that is not happening, it doesn't get frustrating at times.
To be honest, not really. It's actually the other way around. I'm pretty happy that I'm at home. I feel like, especially for me, I've been traveling a lot in these past 3 years. Things really changed when I won in 2017. I played in America, I played in Europe in 2018, 19, and even this year was quite hectic in the beginning. So, I feel this is like a blessing in disguise for me, because I'm just traveling so much, and finally I get to just spend some time at home. Obviously, the lockdown is there; you can't really go and meet friends and just do normal stuff. But I still don't mind this. I really enjoy just not having to push myself every day to do something. It's very relaxed. It's very chilled out. Although I'm still working on things, I'm still doing stuff to fill up my day. But it's a welcome change.
Yes, and I can actually hear that calmness as we speak. You can hear the birds in the background. Not something you would used to on a normal working Friday with all the cars and all buzzing around, even though it's mostly a residential area. But I'm speaking to a lot of tennis players as part of this broadband edition, and they were also telling me, Mahesh Bhupati, Rohan Bopana, on how tennis players are struggling, not the elite ones, but the ones below the rank of 50 and all in the world rankings, because ultimately, be it tennis players or people like you all are professional players who play tournaments, and the prize money that you get is something that sustains you. A lot of those tournaments are now over, be it on the PGA tour and European tours, which are more lucrative, or even back home in India, the PGTI, which, even though the prize money is nothing compared to what you get abroad, but it's still, for a lot of players, for a lot of Indian players, that is the bread and butter. How dire is the situation right now, especially for Indian players?
Obviously, you know it's not ideal. Obviously, everyone would want to play right now, and especially in India, like you said, the prize money isn't as much, and we have so many players who really look forward to going and playing these events and earning as much as they can, and they can take that money back home to their families. Uh, like I said, it's not ideal, but there are just bigger issues right now in the world. Coronavirus has really become a big threat, and there are so many people dying every day. So I just feel like there are bigger things right now than golf. Obviously, everyone's suffering, not only golf. Everyone in the world is suffering. The economy is taking a hit. It's a pretty bad time. So uh, you can't really complain. Obviously, I'm sure I've spoken to a few friends who are at home and they're dying to play, and you know, same for me as well. Luckily, financially, I'm fine. I'm not struggling in that way. But I'm sure there are so many players who play on the PGTI who are struggling, and I know it's a bad time. But I hope this passes as soon as possible. And India, the way they've controlled the situation, I'm really proud of it. We've done really well. I think obviously good things happen every day, but I still feel India has done a really good job in controlling it, and I hope this that we weather the storm and this just passes as soon as possible, and things can just go back to normal, and probably the PGTI will start again in September or maybe August or September to be optimistic.
Yes, it's nice of you to say that because, as you said, it's not just golf players; it's everyone across the world, across all strata of society who are suffering at the moment. But when it comes to golf, it isn't only the players. Just a couple of days back, Tommy Fleetwood's caddy actually started an online raffle to help caddies as well. Because if you look at various tours, not every caddy gets paid on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. He gets a percentage of the players' earnings as well. So this isn't just limited to the players; it's everyone surrounding the various sports, not just golf. Even in tennis, they have different ecosystems.
Exactly, like you said, I think everyone's affected by it. It's not just the players. I think the players are not the ones who are suffering the most. I mean, if you look at caddies and the support staff, everyone that helps build a tournament. Be it caddies or people who like in the PGTI, people who work on the PGTI staff day in and day out, organizing events, and we are able to play and we get the environment that we get on the PGTI is because of them. The scorers and people who manage the social media, everyone. And like you mentioned, Tommy Fleetwood's caddy. That's just a great gesture. That what he's doing for all the caddies. The caddies definitely are taking a hit, but again, like I said, it's just a bad time for the whole world. I mean, there's no solution for it. Unfortunately, we just have to wait it out, and we just hope that it can come up with a vaccine as soon as possible, and things can kind of go back to normal.
Yes, perhaps apt that I'm talking to you. Golf, lots of birdies around, lots of birds chirping away. So I was just thinking of that as we were speaking. but if all things had gone according to plan, and if the world was going on the way the world would have been going around back in the day, today would have been the end of the first round of the Masters, and Tiger Woods, in fact, put out a photo of him enjoying the champions dinner. He couldn't host it, but he had one at home with his family. Lovely pictures. They're sort of reminding us I'm still the Masters champion. That's something which we all have to get used to. Tournaments across the world, as big as they come, getting postponed or cancelled.
Exactly. In golf, obviously now the Masters been postponed. Wimbledon and tennis has been cancelled. April normally is a very exciting time for sports. I love tennis, so I watch Wimbledon all the time. And the Masters, I was lucky enough to play there 2 years ago, and ever since I've been a kid, I've been watching the Masters. So, obviously for sports lovers, it's not the best at times. But but again, there are so like funny that you mentioned it because in the morning only I was looking at all my pictures from the Masters from 2018 and just watching videos of Tiger and all these great players and watching old videos of them winning and just Masters documentaries and stuff like that. But again, it is what it is. You can't really help it in any way right now. We just have to wait it out.
Yes, but significant announcement coming in earlier this week. The PGA Tour, the Ladies Tour, the majors as well, all sort of heading to the second part of the year. And that's the good thing, isn't it? That leave aside the British Open, the other majors are going to happen, and for players out there, that's something very welcome because you get a chance to compete, pick up world ranking points, and importantly, start earning money as well.
Absolutely. I think it's just a great step by the PGA Tour, European Tour, and the RNA and the USG and all the golfing bodies. More than anything, I think it just gives us something to look forward to. Uh, it just fills us with optimism that there is something to look forward to this year towards the end, and there are big events that that are still there. And I guess for players like me, it still pushes us. Even in the lockdown, still pushes us to push ourselves as much as we can, and do. whatever I can, for me especially, do whatever I can to develop mentally and physically in this quarantine time. I've been working out twice a day, every day. Been like I said, I've been chipping, kind of figure out a few things, and obviously chilling out and talking to all my friends as much as I can on the phone, and obviously I play cricket as well. Obviously, I'm not very good at it, but it's definitely very refreshing when you play in the evening.
But Shubhankar, will it need a new approach? I'm not sure you need to approach it differently because you also play on the European tour. So, but for other golfers, maybe on the PGA tour, who sort of season finishes August, September, stretches up till there with the tour championships, then there's a bit of a lull, and then you have the Asian swing with the WGC in Shanghai. Then again, there's a break for Thanksgiving and down to Christmas, and then the season resumes in Hawaii. The For the European tour, it's much different. You have the tournaments going on till Dubai, in Dubai till early late November and all. But do you think for every other golfer out there, they will have to relook at the way they approach this the later swing of the year now because you have the Masters now heading into November.
Yes, absolutely. It just changes everyone's schedule. So we are not used to having the Masters in November, and all the majors being pushed to August, September, and obviously the Masters in November. It changes everything. It changes the whole schedule. For me personally, um, I've been playing in Europe for the past 2 years, and like you said, our season ends in Dubai in November, and that's going to change as well. All the events in the summer that were very very important. The British swing just before the British Open, playing the Scottish, Irish, playing the British Masters, all of those events, everything's. I don't think we'll have any of those events now, and they'll all get postponed, and hopefully they happen in the later half of the year. No announcement has been made for that till now, but yeah, it changes a lot of things. But like I said, the announcement that was made a few days ago by all the tours, uh, it's just great that at least we have something to look forward to. Because right now we have no idea if I have no idea if the season's going to go through or if it'll get scrapped off. There are so many possibilities. You can only wait and watch and see how the world recovers, and how everything ends up. So for me, I'm just looking forward to August and September now, and hopefully we'll have some events. I don't know what's going to happen with the season, but I'm just waiting to go and play, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, there's one of the, it's coming across sports, be it Formula One, even tennis, there was talk about it. Football, there's already been talk. And about golf also, they're also talking about it. Perhaps the season could resume behind closed doors. Where do you stand on that? Because what will golf be or what will sport be without the fans? So the one side of the argument is you will still have tournaments going on, players getting, some money coming in. But the other side is behind closed doors, will it be the same?
It obviously won't be the same. Any sport will become pretty boring without its fans. I mean, imagine they were having talks of having the Masters you know, without people being allowed to come and watch. And I personally, I mean, obviously the Masters is very special, but the fans make it even more special. And if there's no viewership, people don't come and watch. It's just very very boring, and it's not the same. So I mean, not only golf, but tennis and Formula One. Imagine having all of those matches without anyone watching. It won't be the same, obviously, but I've heard rumors in obviously football. Now with the Champions League, it can get scraped off. They might have some matches behind closed doors. Uh, Game like football, you can't even imagine having. It just feels so weird that the whole stadium is empty and they're having matches. But again, there are deadlines that have to be met. Uh, there are obviously the Champions League has to go on. They'll obviously decide what has to be done. Uh, Formula One, you know, the IPL obviously got cancelled. You can't have imagine having an IPL without fans. So it is pretty weird. But I mean, if it has to be done and the respective sporting bodies they think that it is necessary, then they can go ahead with it. But I don't think it's ideal. I don't think it will be the same. So I think it's just better to wait it out and get back stronger. Like what happened with the Olympics. I mean, they even if they would have staged it, I don't think it would have been the best show that everyone expects. But people weren't training. Uh, you know, Things weren't the same. I don't think as many people would have traveled to Japan to go and watch. So any sport without its fans is it's pretty boring. It just I wouldn't watch I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you're
watch.
right. Any
Yeah, I wouldn't
yeah,
watch
any
any of the
sports.
sports if it just feels very different.
Yeah, it'd probably be in golf like a training ground. Nobody around you, just keep hitting balls in the air. But you spoke about the Olympics, Shubhankar, and while the Olympics getting postponed, dashes a lot of dreams. There perhaps people we never going to see again who were going to retire at the end of these Olympic Games. They may not be around 1 year from now. But what it does is it gives you a chance of getting back into the scheme of things. You aren't too far behind in the rankings, so perhaps you now have new motivation that you want to play the Olympics, and the gap isn't that much to bridge. So for people like you, it's a second wind.
Absolutely, it's a blessing in disguise for me. When it was announced, obviously we're all looking forward to having the Olympics this year. But for me, just the way I was playing, I wasn't in the best of forms towards the start of the year. I didn't have good finishes, and there were a lot of things that I was working on, and they weren't quite settling in. And making I was just making a lot of mental errors, and this just gives me a lot of time to re-evaluate things. Just work on certain aspects that really need help. uh, I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, I really need a lot of work on my chipping, and fortunately, I have time now, and I don't have to go and I don't need a big range to go and chip. I can do it in my garden. Just figure out what I need to do and work on certain aspects. So yeah, like you said, the gap isn't big, but at the end of the day, it's just about me playing and becoming the best that I can. And I know if I can do that, I will make the team, and you know will have a chance of competing in Japan come 2021 and probably hope for a medal.
But Shubhankar, do you redraw your priorities now in a sense that, yes, you have the European tour where you usually play, and it's, the higher you get up there, the more points you will obviously get in terms of world rankings. But now that you know that the Olympics are a year away and, you have time, do you sort of think, what, let's mix my schedule. Let's play a few Asian events. The chances are that, I'll probably finish in the top five or top two, top three, or win much more there than on the European circuit where it's much tougher. That's a thought which could come into your mind, especially if the race for the points gets very close.
Definitely, uh, even the Indian tour, to be honest. I mean, the Indian tour has world ranking points as well, and it's a place where I've grown up playing. I'm familiar with the courses, the fields, and I know most of the players. So even the Indian tour, to be honest, as a start would be a great place to start, and then probably play some tournaments in Asia and then Europe. I mean, I will definitely reconsider my whole schedule this year and figure out a way where I can play some Asian tour events and some Indian tour events as well.
Okay, I was talking to Pankaj Advani a couple of days back, and he said that what this break has done, because it's a forced break, many people were trying to peak at the Olympics. That's not going to happen now. But for other players across the world, it's worked out very well for Tiger Woods. It's worked out very well for Roger Federer, who'd sort of taken breaks to heal from injuries. But Pankaj said that, when everyone comes back, it's going to be a level playing field at least for a couple of months because everyone's going to be rusty. That's something to take advantage of. You think that right now when sport resumes, when it does, everyone's going to be at initially for the first few weeks at the same level.
Definitely, everyone's going to be rusty, but it's again, it all comes down to work, and you know, like I said, we are still indoors, but we can still work on a lot of things, physically, mentally. Still visualize and try and be present at the different tournaments, even though they are not happening. So, I mean, it will be a level playing field in a way that everyone will be rusty, but the good players will still come out and shoot low scores, and that's what separates the good players from the average ones, or the best players from the good ones. So yeah, it all comes down to work and how much work all the athletes put in, as much as they can indoors, and when the play resumes and when all the tournaments are back, uh, you know, I still feel the best players will still outshine the average ones.
Okay, so that's the cue, Shubhankar. Keep those practice chips going and keep staying as focused as you can, because at the moment, as you said, you can afford to do that. Not many people else can do. As far as the cricketing skills go, let's see. Perhaps in a few days from now, if you can post some other videos, let's see what comments keep coming your way, because you've got former India cricketers, now actually coming out and giving you tips. So Shubhankar,
Yeah.
enjoy this break. If you can, stay safe, and hopefully the rest of your family is safe as well.
Thank you so much, Digvijay, and hopefully this time passes and everyone comes out stronger.